So many big storylines from over the weekend in the NBA. I think that the Thunder are better than ever. Does Legs agree? He was calling the Denver Lakers game. Very interesting one. He's got notes from that. We're going to talk about win streaks from the Magic and the Hawks, Pistons-Raptors breakdown, and our favorite NCAA teams of all time. That and more on today's All-NBA show. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler, who was on the call for the Nuggets and the Lakers over the weekend. He's been traveling around. It's the busy time of year. How you doing, Legs?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I got home for a couple days at least. It's rare that I'm home for 2 straight days, but I was able to do it yesterday and today. So that's always good to recharge. You got to go to Houston tomorrow. But good, man. It's a good weekend in the NBA. A lot of stuff going on.
What do you have on Tuesday? Houston who?
We got Wednesday night. It's Houston and the Lakers.
Houston and LA. Okay. All right.
Yeah, in Houston. So obviously having just seen the Lakers, it's interesting. We've got them on Wednesday night, and I believe they play tonight actually in Houston.
I was going to say, I thought they played tonight, but okay.
I said to somebody yesterday, it's the best for me because it's like the greatest film prep in the world. Just watch the game tonight. And I'm ready to go for Wednesday night. So, but they're interesting to get into the Lakers now. They've won 4 in a row. 3 without LeBron, or 5 actually, I think. 3 without LeBron, and then a couple since he's come back, including that just incredible game against Denver, man, on Saturday night. We finally got a close game to call. We've had a lot of blowouts this year, man, so we were all kind of rooting for a really good game, and man, did we get it at the end of that Lakers-Nuggets game.
It was as close as it can get, really. We're going to break that down here in just a second. It's going to be our second story. But I want to start, Legs, I'm so impressed with this OKC Thunder team. This really was a statement week of the season for them. They beat Denver in dramatic fashion. They beat Boston in a high-profile matchup, beat Minnesota, the Knicks, the Warriors, and that just built on a 4-game win streak they had before those 5 games. And I'm impressed with them because they have been so shorthanded, just missing players throughout the year, including in this run, and yet they still win. And it makes me wonder, my first question to you, one, is are you as impressed as I am with how they're getting it done? And 2, J-Dub is dealing with an injury that I'm not sure is going to fully go away, and I don't know if there's enough time to fully work him back up. I'm not sure it matters. Their ceiling, they have so many guys, McCain fitting in, so many guys that I wonder if they could win the title if J-Dub, their second best player, is just good. Not great, not special, doesn't win them games in the playoffs, but it's just good, and it's really Shai and all of his supporting cast. Can they still win it this year?
I think they still probably could. I don't know if I agree necessarily with you that I like them better than ever or they are better than ever. There was a time last year, beginning of this season, there was an inevitability to it. But last year, going into the postseason, you didn't see anybody. I didn't. Beating them. Now, they did go twice to 7 games. Yeah. So, they did have to work for it, and really dramatic circumstances in the finals, obviously, with Halliburton going down in Game 7 when he'd already hit 3 threes to start that game. Who knows how that would have ended up? And maybe we view this Oklahoma City team a lot differently. If Halliburton plays in that game and somehow they win that game, think about it. We're going into this year, we're saying okay, it's great. Another great regular season, got to prove it in the playoffs. And there would be so much more skepticism, but they didn't. They ended up winning that game, and just the narrative around them is champion. And it kind of changes now, right? Yeah. It's almost like you put those dramatic circumstances where they're kind of walking a tightrope. You kind of just forget about it, put it to bed because they are champions, and then they get off this incredible start. I think at some point last year, and maybe even the beginning of this year, I was probably feeling even better about them than I do now. It's not like I doubt anything about them now, but if you're asking me to look at their peak starting from the beginning of last season to now, I think there's a couple of periods of time in there where I was like, man, this team is just too much. They're overwhelming. And look, this is a great winning streak. There's no doubt. I mean, you beat the Knicks, Denver, Boston, Minnesota. Golden State's a shell of themselves. And then Chicago, Dallas, those aren't necessarily, you wouldn't look at those as big time wins. Those other wins are really quality. Here's the thing though, Adam, those 4 games, New York, Denver, Boston, Minnesota, 11 points total. 11 points total to win those 4 games. Now, the good news is their incredible late game because of Shai. And what he's turned into late game is to me just, you just can't believe how good he is and how certain the result is when he has to take over a game with the scoring late. But they're working really hard, like, to get those wins against good teams. So I don't know if I would agree with you. This is like the peak for the Thunder, basically over the last year and 3 quarters. I think there's been a couple of times when I felt a little bit more about them, that it was just, they were overwhelming people and there was not much anybody was going to be able to do to stop them.
Here's why let me make the case here. There's 2 main reasons. One is the emergence of AJ Mitchell and now Jared McCain. These are real assets to them that can do multiple things on the court that just make them even deeper, and I think give them more options late in games. Last year, one of the reasons that I thought they struggled against those high-powered offensive teams was you had defensive primary guards on the floor around your main scorers, and teams were just going to live or die with those guys making shots. Giving them these extra dynamic guards and just their improvement to saying, okay, if teams are going to trap Shai, what do we do to make ourselves invincible against that defense? They now have it, and these guys that are able to shoot off of those plays, but more importantly, are able to play make and continue and extend the advantages from having to trap Shai 30 feet from the basket. So that's different. I think that is no longer a viable strategy against them the way it was last year. And secondly, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is meaningfully better this year than he was last year. And I know that's crazy because he was the MVP last year and obviously a finals MVP as well. But I think his game has taken another step, including his late game isolation scoring. The thing you wanted to do, he has that low release shot. You wanted to force him away from the basket and see if he could hit shots going away from the basket. He's hit too many of them in the clutch this year that now you look at that and say, that's not a viable strategy. Do not try to guard Shai one-on-one. He'll get to his step back 3 or step back long 2. I think he's meaningfully better than he was last year. And when they're healthy, even relative health, not saying J-Dub is great, but just relative health, I think their ceiling is higher.
All right, I'm going to address those things first. I want to correct something. My math was off on that. I always forget the Minnesota game. That was a 13-point game. They had 3 of those other wins were by a total of 8 points. So they made the plays at the end of the game, but they had to work to get those. I just wanted to clarify that because the math was off there. If people were wondering. To your point, I'm still sitting here in a state of disbelief that this team was able to acquire McCain.
It's insane how good he is.
And the thing is, didn't we all know that? Didn't you see enough of him last year to know that? This was a find for the Philadelphia 76ers. They found a dude, and their season last year was an absolute disaster because nobody played. And they weren't playing for anything for the second half of the year on. But the first half of the year, how could you not watch Jared McCain and not understand, the shooting ability and the intensity with which he plays offensively? Some guys play so intensely defensively, it stands out. Yeah. This guy plays with such intensity offensively. His wanting to go factor on everybody was so obvious to me, and I think most people watching him last year. And he got hurt. And he came back this year, and it was like a rough sledding for him, like it is for anybody coming back from an ACL injury. And he wasn't very good, and they weren't really letting him play through it a whole lot. And there's no other way to put it. They gave up on him. There's no other way you can say it, really. They made, because if there's no way you could look at that guy based on what he did his rookie year and think he's going to get back to that level and maybe be better than you would hope be better than that because he's so young, and still want to move him for what you got back. It makes no sense. So they made a miscalculation on Jared McCain. What's weird to me is you would have thought maybe he goes to OKC and it takes him another 10 or 12 or 15 games before he starts making shots. He did it right away. And that's the part that's really kind of head scratching, which tells you he wasn't getting a minute's rhythm. He wasn't getting touches in Philly. It wasn't happening because it just didn't get enough extended run, because as soon as he got to OKC, they had guys out. They put him on the court. He played 20 plus minutes, right away practically. And he starts dropping 20 like it's nothing. So for me, for this team to add another player like this, it's impactful, it's incredible. So from that standpoint, I do agree with you. There are more options now for Daigneault. There's more pieces to move for him on a given night. Now look, and he even, I think, knows this. It's going to be harder for him. Somebody's getting cut out. Maybe a couple guys are going to get cut out in terms of minutes once they start the playoffs. That's going to be a whole nother thing, because right now, on a given night, he's only had 9 or 10 guys healthy. So he can just play who's ready, who's available, right?
True.
And it's been different guys all the time. Now you're hoping, and I don't know who knows about Jalen Williams. You might be right. I mean, who knows? But if you get him back, you got all of these guys that play the 2-3 spot. That is a lot for him to figure out. And so that's the last hurdle, I think, for this team to prove offensively. But so I'm just following up on your point about McCain, man. I just still can't believe, of all teams to get him, they got him. Man, he could have helped a lot of teams that were like needed something to be more relevant and impactful in the post. We already know this team's going to make a deep run, maybe win it again without Jared McCain. Now you add him, and it's like, wow. I mean, talk about the rich getting richer. It's incredible that they were able to identify this and make the move ahead of other teams that could have used a guy like this.
To your point, though, one thing they could run into here as they get healthy is who plays and who doesn't, because it is easier, to your point, to just play well when you know you're in the rotation and what your role is going to be. When you have everybody, some guys are just not going to play or their role gets diminished. And a perfect example of this is Cason Wallace, who was phenomenal at a portion of the season when they needed him to be like a primary offensive hub or secondary offensive hub. He stepped up and was great. He struggled a little bit here of late as his role gets sent backwards. When everybody's healthy, are you looking over your shoulder? He's been great since he's been there. But when his role becomes, let's throw Cason Wallace out there, see how he does. Not his night. Get McCain in there. Get AJ Mitchell. That's tough. As a player, that's tough because it makes you wonder, am I every night I get this many minutes, or am I situational? Let's see who has it tonight. And I do see that could be a problem. What do you think there?
Yeah, I like that one. I will say this about Cason Wallace, and you can just, when you talk to Mark Daigneault, it's obvious, like he's almost one of those guys that's above shot making to play. And like, it's because it's almost like no matter what, this dude's playing, because he is, I think he's top 5 perimeter defensive players in the NBA.
It's tough,
and he's a smaller one. Some of the guys that would be in that category, like they're bigger, longer, stronger. They can guard all kinds of positions. He's so good with his lateral movement and his hands and his anticipation. He can't guard as many bigger guys without help if he gets posted. But to me, he's the one guy of the group, because even Caruso, they're going to play him, but he only averages 17 minutes a night anyway.
Yeah.
But the nights he makes a couple corner threes, he plays 26 minutes. Okay. Cason Wallace is like 28 no matter what, because his impact is so great. So I'll be curious to see what that does. But here's the thing. On the nights he's not making shots for whatever, and you are playing him to that extent, like when you got guys like Aaron Wiggins sitting there, you got a guy like Isaiah Joe sitting there, you've got Jared McCain sitting there, you've got 3 bucket makers, but you know that you don't want to take Wallace off the court because of his defensive presence. Does that hurt your offense some of those nights? That, I think, is a fair point.
Yeah, and I see people getting hung up on the Cason Wallace part of this, but I'm really just talking about somebody. I just used him as an example. You've got Shai, who's going to play, obviously, but you got McCain. You have Caruso, Mitchell, Wiggins, Joe, Wallace, Dort. That's a lot of guards. It's just so many that somebody is going to end up having an inconsistent role, and that's what I'm curious about. Last one with them, Shai just has the 20-point record, most 20-point games in a row, which is just crazy. He narrowly got it against Minnesota here the other day, almost dropped it right as he breaks it. But one, how impressed are you with that streak? 20 points, just never to have a game where you're off below 20 points. And then number 2, if I were to ask you, and I know you don't like doing these definitive ranking type things, but if I were to ask you who the best players in the league are right now, maybe you don't want to go in order. I think in previous years we were looking at this list as Jokic, Shai, Luka, Giannis. Those were the names. I feel like it's shifting now, and I'm just curious who you think is at the top of the league right now.
How is it shifting? I'm curious. Are you saying so? Well, Giannis isn't getting a lot of talk this year, obviously, because of their team. And he got hurt and all that. But I don't know that it's changing very much when you start talking about Shai and Jokic.
I think a new person has entered the conversation.
I'm trying to think. You talking about Cade Cunningham?
I'm thinking of Victor Wembanyama.
Obviously Wemby, yeah.
But I don't think he was in this conversation a year ago. He was on the fringe of it.
I totally agree with that. Okay, that was your point. If that was your point. Okay, yes, you're 100% right. He was not. He was not regarded in that way. He was a guy that we saw enough of to know that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
The question was when. Yeah. And I think you're right.
Might be now.
It absolutely is. And it's funny because I still think there are nights when I watch Wemby, though, and I go, okay, man, like you can force him into spots that he's not going to be nearly as good offensively. Like he still can have that happen to him. That can't happen to Jokic. It can't happen to Shai. It can't happen to Luka, right? Cade Cunningham even, I think, is kind of on that level. Like they can't because of their ability to manipulate the ball and go where they want to go all the time with the deep shooting off the dribble. For Wemby, because of his size, it's not like he can just go wherever he wants with a live dribble because it's harder for him to operate against smaller defenders in that space. So I still think there are some nights when you can make him almost like, okay, we contained him offensively. But here's the thing. Even on those nights, he can disrupt the game so much on the other end that you're still talking about him the entire time. So that's the difference. Those other guys rarely have bad offensive nights because there's just no answer for them. Wemby can still, I think, be guarded off on that end of the floor, but it doesn't even matter because he was doing it defensively. So I think Wemby is now elevated into that category. So I completely agree with you. Here's what I'm going to say about Shai and this streak. I think it's one of the greatest streaks I've ever seen from an individual in a team sport. Think about it, Adam. Like, he never at any point did he like roll an ankle and can't return to the game when he's got 4 points.
That alone is part of the streak that makes it so impressive.
I mean, that start with that. How about a night where he didn't shoot well to that point, and whatever reason, and they're up 30, which they were a lot last year, and he goes out of the game. So it tells you, number one, he's not a slow starter. Because if he's a slow starter, like some guys are, they use the first 6-8 minutes to kind of feel the game out. If you do that and you go up 30 and you're on this type of team, you might not play in the fourth quarter and you didn't do much in the first quarter. That's going to be hard to do then. One of those nights, you're not getting to 20 points. So the fact that he comes out of the gate, he almost always has 8, 10, 12 points in the first quarter. Pretty much every night. He sets the tone right there. So then by the time you get to the end of the third, if he's not going to play in the fourth quarter, he's got his 20 plus. But just, and what about like a close game when he goes 6 for 23 one night? That doesn't happen to Shai.
Doesn't.
And he didn't get to the line enough to get 20. I'm telling you, man, I don't know if people are appreciated enough because you say it so often. We started talking about this, 2 months ago. I heard consecutive games, and he did it again. Tonight's his 87th straight game. It numbs people because every time he gets to 20, it's mentioned again. It's mentioned again, and you get numb by it because you hear it so much. You've been hearing it forever. Whether he broke the record or not, man, this is one of the most incredible scoring achievements in the history of this league. It's to think that he's never had one of the nights we just discussed for a year and a half. That's absolutely incredible to me, man. It blows my mind. I don't know when it's going to stop. It will stop at some point. And I don't know when we're going to see this broken, man. There's a reason this record has stood since the 60s.
I know. It's just pretty crazy.
Okay, so that it could be another 30 years. I'm telling you, because it's one thing to say guys can get 35 every night. You got to have scorers like that. But to do your floor is 20 every night, that's a totally different thing.
I think Jokic and Luka are obviously still there. Could even make a case for both of them, as the top guy. So this is by no means pushing out, but just the idea that Shai and Wemby are entering the conversation to me as best player in the league. It is a bit of the new era has fully arrived or is fully arriving now to where you just keep moving generations down. Giannis, Luka, Jokic now fighting to hold on to that top spot. It's just kind of interesting.
Can I just say one more thing on this? I think it's important.
Sure.
So when he went out, and he missed 5 weeks. He missed it at number one at a time that's actually going to make him better down the stretch, and you're seeing it now because his legs are so much fresher than they probably were last year, than they were in any other year, than most guys are, because the 5 weeks off, it's amazing the way that recharges your legs. That's one thing. So he's going to finish really strong, obviously. But Adam, I'm telling you, the MVP to me looked like it was all his when he got hurt. Because I'm saying to myself, they're going to have the best record in the league. He's got the exact same numbers. He's even more efficient than he was last year. He's going to win it again. And then he went out. He was out so long. Other guys kind of were making a case. But here's the thing. He came back with a vengeance, man. Like this guy has come back, and these late game heroics that's
the thing. You almost discounted it sound earlier because these games are close. I raise it up and I go, hey, this team now knows how to close out these tough games that are the same way every single time. That's meaningful to me.
His shot making late has been so prominent, and it's such a high profile time of the year. It's almost like all of these are like he's just stuffing the ballot box or pounding the gavel with all of this late game stuff that he's doing because he's been almost automatic when they've had to have it late in games. So he's making this incredibly strong argument after he was out for all that time, and you thought some guys sort of nibbled into that lead he might have had, and maybe now you're looking at it like, oh, it's a dead heat. Who knows who's going to win it? He's like reasserting to me control. It's in his hands now. Wow. If they continue to win like this and he continues to have these moments, you feel like this was exactly what he needed to do to reassert control of the award. And I do feel like he's back again as a front runner.
Let's go to this Denver Lakers game that you called over the weekend. Lakers get the win in a game it felt like Denver had clawed all the way back, taking control of the game, but fell apart as they've done a lot this year in the clutch. Fell apart. Jamal Murray fouled out. He had 5 points in the game, just an atrocious game from him. And it came down to Austin Reeves perfectly executing the missed free throw. I've seen guys do this, Legs. I mean, this is the way to miss a free throw, chest past it at the front of the rim. But I've never seen anybody determine, okay, there's rebounders on the right, so I'm going to go left, and then not only hit the rim perfectly, but hit it to the right side so it bounces back. I think it was the greatest intentional missed free throw of all time.
So I want to take you to that moment, and I felt pretty good pretty cool as an analyst because it happens. We break it down. We go to commercial. During the commercial, before I'd even heard Austin Reeves talk about this, during the commercial, I said, and I don't know if you saw the broadcast, but on the broadcast, I said, I want to do a touchscreen on this and illustrate this as to why this happened exactly how it had to happen. And that's what I focused on. The left side of the lane, as he's looking at the basket, only had Jokic and Ayton.
Yeah.
Okay. The other side had 3 players. And that meant that the guy that's responsible for shooter, which was Spencer Jones, he's coming into the lane from the right side as Austin Reeves is looking at, which means he's probably not going to be able to get to a ball that ricochets out to the left side of the lane. As long as Ayton does his job and pushes Jokic under the rim, which he did.
Yeah.
I don't even know that would have mattered because the ball came off like a rocket.
Yeah, I don't think
because of how he threw a missile. It's exactly how you have to miss for this to work. You see guys like shoot with the arc and it hits the board first, hits the rim, and then it kicks up in the air, and you're not going to be able to get the ball back. It has to come off like that.
It was honestly perfect. Because your point is if it was a half inch higher, the ball goes up. It bounces up or anything.
Correct.
He hit at the right angle and spot.
It would have hit up off the backboard and went up in the air, and now it's just three guys
jump
tipping
ball.
it. You're not going to control the ball, right? So it's got to come out in a way that, like, it's so hard, the ricochet, and so low to the ground, no one has a chance to even get their hands up on it. And that's exactly what he did, and it had to go to the left side. It's not an easy thing to do. I do think guys with great hand-eye coordination can pull this off. I mean, but this was perfect.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that else did. Look, can I just talk about the last part of that?
Yeah.
So now he gets the ball. Like, the fact that he didn't just panic and throw some garbage up at the basket, he like took that step toward the baseline, hit that little floater. But if you look at it, he slowed it all down on the release. Like, he was able to find composure even in this heightened adrenaline moment. Like, holy hell, we got this, actually worked. Like, I got the ball. Now what? He didn't do any of that. He just shot it normal ho-hum, like he was messing around in layup lines. He shoots this little 10-footer to get it to go. And like, it was a gut punch, but the Nuggets still had chances in overtime to win the game.
Yeah. So what did you make of this? I mean, this has been Denver's story. They are falling in the standings. They're down to 6th right now. They do have 10 of their last 14 games at home, which they have just not been home this year. They played more road games than anybody in the NBA, more back-to-backs than anybody in the NBA, more games than anyone in the NBA. That slows down in this back stretch. But if you look over the last month, Legs, overtime loss to the Thunder, last second shot loss to the Thunder, overtime loss to the Knicks, 2-point loss to the Pistons. They just have a lot of these games that have gone exactly like that Lakers one, which is they have it to the very end and fumble it. So what do you make of where Denver's at now that you saw them up close?
This one was massive because of the tiebreaker situation, and you only get them 3 times, and now you're 2-1 on the season. Yep. That was a big one. And not only did they not secure that free throw, which would have probably won the game, I even talked about it on the air, like the game winner by Luka. Foul to give. Perfect opportunity to take it because Austin Reeves dribbled the ball for 5-6 seconds at the top of the key, obviously holding it for one shot. Swing it to Luka. He's breaking out toward half court on the catch. Spencer Jones is right on him. All he has to do is reach out and grab him as soon as Luka caught the ball. He was in no way he's going to turn and shoot that quickly. Okay, so now take it out on the side. Probably I estimated 4.8. That's a lot different scenario. Instead, not only did they not foul him, there's a double team coming from the middle of the court. I think it was Bruce Brown is running over from the middle of the court, and Spencer Jones allows Luka to go away from the help to take him to the baseline and shoot this step back. So it's like, to me, 2 things defensively they didn't execute at the end of the game, in addition to the free throw, or they win and now they lose the tiebreaker. Look, they've lost close games. I know people in Denver are talking about this a lot, and they're questioning like strategy and can they get it done? I don't know, man. Like, I still have a lot of faith in this team. They still don't have Peyton Watson, but even with Aaron Gordon, like he's not himself yet. His impact hasn't been consistent yet. He's had 2 good games, 2 games where he didn't do anything. So I still have faith that when they have everybody, I do have a lot of faith in his team to be able to navigate these tight game situations, or maybe even, hey, they're 6 points better earlier in the quarter. They're not in that situation. And I think they will be once they get their full complement of guys and they incorporate Peyton Watson into the mix now that they've gotten Gordon back.
I think Denver's about to play the best basketball of the year. If they don't, then I think it just means that the Nuggets aren't very good. But they have 10 of their last 14 at home. One of those road games is the last game of the season against the Spurs, who probably have nothing to play for. So I think Denver wins 10 of their last 14, maybe 11 of the last 14. And it's just funny how the schedule breaks sometimes. Speaking of how the schedule breaks, the Hawks have won 9 in a row. The Magic have won 7 in a row. Now, here's who the Hawks have beaten in this streak. Washington 2 times, Brooklyn 2 times, Milwaukee 2 times, Dallas, Philly, and Portland. Are you impressed with this 9-game streak for the Atlanta Hawks? They make some trades. They're a different team. They're on a win streak. 9 is a lot. Are you impressed at all with this?
Much like you would differentiate between soft drinks, this is a 9-game light. Okay? That's how I would describe it.
This is a diet win streak.
This isn't all the calories, man. They're not consuming all the calories. All right. This is zero sugar.
Zero
in this
sugar.
9-game winning streak. Look, man, you win 9 in a row. It's hard in this league. I don't care. Like, you got to get it done. But come on, man. I mean, you couldn't. I don't know this to be true without doing the math on it. Is there an easier 9-game stretch like for any team?
Yeah. It might be this. You're talking. You did play 3 of the worst teams in the NBA 2 times each, so it's probably the easiest.
Brooklyn twice, Washington twice, and who was the other one?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee twice. Who's I mean, my goodness. Portland. Okay, that's a solid win. But they beat them by 34 points. So give them some credit. The one thing I'll say is, at least for the most part, they're smoking these teams. I will say that. They're not, these aren't 2 and 3 point wins, 4 point wins. I mean, 11, 21, 30, 34, 18, 9, 12, 11, and 23. Like, you're not being tested late at all. So give them credit. These weak teams are showing up and you're blasting them, and you're supposed to, but I mean, 7 of those wins, you're talking about teams that aren't even trying to win. So you should be able to get it done. But here's what's interesting. You got them. You got the Magic. Their 6-gamer, by the way, is more impressive. Or
7 game. I think it's
7 game is more impressive.
Well, first of all, they beat Washington twice as well, Dallas and Milwaukee, but they do have wins over Minnesota, Cleveland, and Miami. Those three
make it totally different.
Yeah.
And then the Heat just lost. They had another the 7-gamer or something. So you had the 3 other than OKC. The next 3 longest winning streaks in the NBA were all like play-in type teams in the Eastern Conference that were trying to figure things out. And we're going to do another show, by the way, coming up here pretty soon if they keep this up on Orlando, because I know that I think you've been skeptical
Yeah, for sure.
They are playing better. It's unquestionable. You know, all the time they've been less than healthy. We want to do a deeper dive on Orlando, man. What's their schedule coming up? Because I want to see.
So they have the Hawks, which is kind of interesting. So two win streaks clash tonight, which I think will be a good one. I'm picking Orlando to win that one, though. I think Orlando is to your point, rounding into form.
So possibly we do a recap of that game on Wednesday, because I think it's time to reassess maybe I think we know kind of who we really like at the top of these, but like this is starting to change maybe a little bit of how we see the first round of the playoffs, like what it's going to look like with what these teams are doing right now. And so we might have to take a deep dive at like the second half of the Eastern Conference playoff race.
I think the day maybe is Friday. They play at Charlotte on Thursday, and I feel like that's more of a meaningful matchup to them because I put those teams in the same category. But if you just look at the Hawks right now, they started in 9th place. They win 9 in a row, and they're still in 9th place. But they're firmly now in 9th place. They have a chance to get up to 7 or 8, which will just be something to watch. I too don't buy it. But sometimes you have to win the easy ones to get yourself going to be able to win the medium and the hard ones. And I'm just curious if they can do that. On the other side, though, Orlando, I think is.
By the way, real quick,
I
just was thinking about this the other day. This is how different this year has been in terms of like how many of the bottom teams have basically lost competitiveness at this time of the year. Because think about it, man. They put in this play-in format and I thought it was a great idea. I still think it's a great idea because I love the fact that you extend hope to the more franchises and more fan bases that stay invested longer. But in the past, it's been like, not just 10, 11, 12. Like those teams are trying to get to 10. So you really had almost the whole conference covered except for like the bottom 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
This year,
the tanking teams
10 in each conference, and like that's it. It's been like that, by the way, for a couple of weeks.
You're right.
You're talking about with over a month to go, with like 6 weeks in the season left.
Yeah,
we were done at 10. Like we knew who the 10 are. It's just a matter of like how are they going to be seated within 10? But like this is the first year that that's happened. In the past, it's extended to 11 and 12 and 13, trying to get to 10. Not this year, man. It's been kind of wild.
It is kind of interesting to see 10 exactly 5 teams in each conference that are just done. 10 teams total that are tanking. All right, let me know in the comments what you believe. Hawks, Magic, who do you think is real? Are neither of them real? And then what do you think about the Thunder? Are they better than last year or not? Let us know in the comments. Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to break down very quickly this Pistons-Raptors game. The Raptors get a win. The Pistons playing their worst basketball of the year. Is this the wrong moment for that? And are we concerned? We'll get to that on the other side. You know that moment, the one where you realize you left your favorite pair of sunglasses at the beach, on the roof of your car, or at a gas station 3 states away? Well, I've been there too, but I've got Shady Rays. They've changed the game. They've got sunglasses that are made for real life, seriously good looking, polarized, durable, not stupidly expensive. And the wild part is, if you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements, so you can wear your sunglasses without fear. It is sunglass season, man. Fake spring is here. Real spring is on the way. You can wear them at hikes, concerts, on the boat, or wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Just go to shadyrays.com and use our code, ALLCITY, all one word, ALLCITY, for 40% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. I also want to tell you guys about Underdog Fantasy. The tournament is back. Upsets are inevitable, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right. You could win up to 5,000 times your cash. I always build a lineup. This is what I went with today. We got the Magic and the Hawks, 2 teams on win streaks. I think Paolo Banchero wins it for the Magic, 24.5 points. Higher. I'm taking Paolo tonight. Jalen Johnson, 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Lower. I think that he gets stymied by this Magic defense. And then Desmond Bane, 21.5 points. Lower there as well. I like the defensive backcourt that the Hawks offer. Download the app today. Use promo code ALLNBA to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code ALLNBA. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org in Arizona. 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All-NBA show. Make sure you're subscribed. The games only get better from here. I'm with Tim Legler. Legs, real quick before we get to our next topic, there's 2 spots fan bases get into that they're unfamiliar with. One, I'll call it the San Antonio-Detroit range, where you vault into the upper echelon of the NBA, but you haven't proven it in the playoffs yet. And fan bases are always like, where's our respect? We've done this. It's like, you haven't won them yet in the playoffs.
That's so true, man. That's so true.
Fan bases have to kind of understand that. But then the other one is where OKC's fan base is right now, which is they won the title. Last year, they were the one that was doubted or questioned despite winning 60 whatever games. This year, they are the favorites. They're the betting favorites heavily. Everybody acknowledges them, but the fan base is so used to being underdogs that they're looking for any slight they can get. The Thunder are the favorites. Everybody thinks they're the best run organization, maybe in all of sports. They're the betting favorite and the hands-on favorite, and yet Thunder fans in the comments almost every day say, you're disrespecting the Thunder. It's like, you got to get used to being the top.
I'm glad you brought this up, man. This is a topic that burns me a little bit. And I'm in this industry now, obviously, so I'm one of the guys that's out here making declarative statements on these teams and trying to assess who they are, right? I try to be as fair, and I think everybody considers the fact I'm pretty unbiased about all of it. I just try to – I don't have a dog in the fight at all. I just want to honestly break it down. I've never understood, and, I'm a fan of teams. Yeah. Everybody knows how much I love my football team, the Washington Commanders. Like, that's my main passion in sports is for that.
Yeah, you want to see bias. Hear him talk about them.
The thing is, I don't lose my mind if somebody criticizes the team, even when they're good. Right. Even last year, we went into Detroit in the playoffs, the Commanders, and heavy underdogs because the Lions look like the best team in the NFC, and the Commanders smoked them on a road game to get to the NFC Championship game. But going into the game, everybody was picking the Lions to beat them, and pretty easily. I didn't get upset. I don't know why people get so mad if somebody in the media is criticizing your team or they're doubting your team, or even if they're just being honest and pointing out a weakness. I don't get it. Yeah. If you believe in your team, then it'll play out. Just let it play out.
Yeah.
No media person by saying that is dictating the outcome of a game. So calm down. If the team is better than what somebody's saying, let it play out.
You know what? I'm telling you though, Legs, the thing is there's no better place as a fan to be than the underdog. And then when you're on top of the mountain, everybody's trying to become the underdog in their head. It's like, I'm trying to psych myself. Nobody believes in the Thunder. Nobody.
Why to be mad and show up with emotional, anger that helps you play harder. I get it, man. But I don't just relax. If you think your team's getting slighted for some reason, then let it play out. And after it plays out, then you can hammer whoever doubted them. But I got news for you. Well,
Nobody doubts the Thunder. Nobody.
Guys are right. Media guys are right too.
Yeah,
they don't ever hear it, but they are right a lot about how this stuff plays out. But I hear what you're saying, man. I love the point you made about teams that haven't done it at all in the postseason. No track record of winning together yet. And why are you not just acting like the road is paved to win 2-3 rounds or to win a championship? No, there is a progression to this a lot of times. You don't go from not winning a playoff series to the finals. Typically, it just doesn't happen. Normally, you progress, you add pieces, you get tougher, you learn from your losses, you handle those situations better next time. So that's there are some teams in that category this year.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this game here. The Pistons are starting to worry. They're fumbling at the wrong time of the year, and I'm not sure we can just discount it. The Raptors get them last night. Raptors played, I thought, a very good game. But the Pistons lost the thing that I think they have to win to be great, which is the possession battle. They took 6 fewer shots than Toronto. They gave up 30 points on second chance opportunities compared to just 15 for them. They lost the turnover battle. This is, I think, when you look at the Pistons, they win because they grind games out. I don't think they have the prettiest offense in the world, but they grind games out, win the possession battle. They're starting to lose it somewhat regularly, and they lost it to the Raptors in this game. That's what stood out to me. What stood out to you?
Here's what bothered me about this performance by the Pistons. So they got the third quarter turned the game. They got outscored by 17 in the third quarter. They had the game pretty much, looking good at halftime, was playing to their style, their pace. Everything was kind of lining up for them to then let their defense, in a close game, win it for them, and Cade Cunningham make enough plays down the stretch. Third quarter comes out, and all of the things that you noticed about Detroit earlier in the year, and particularly with what they did to the Knicks, because that accelerated how we viewed them, because you're thinking like, okay, this is going to turn into a brawl, and they just manhandled the Knicks. And on nights when they were really good early in the year, they physically imposed their will on you, and they just beat you up, kept it in a close game, and then they had enough defensively, and then with Cade on the other end to win games. And it's like, okay, this is their formula. You better come ready to play, man, because this is going to be an alley fight. I didn't see any of that in the second half last night. Toronto did what they wanted to, and they're the 19th best offense in the NBA. Toronto's a pretty good defensive team. They're like a mediocre offensive team. And for them to operate the way that they did in the second half of this game, Detroit didn't have an answer, and it was easy. This stuff came easy to Toronto in the second half. That's what bothered me in terms of evaluating the Pistons. Like, wait a second, man. They just lost, 4 in a row? Then they won 3 against weak teams, and they blasted all 3 of those teams, but they're all weak teams. Then you go, okay, now let's see. 4 in a row you lost. You just won 3 against bad teams. Let's see where you really are. And you play Toronto, who they're going to play hard. And they actually did what they wanted to do offensively against you in the second half. That was very surprising to me. So I'm wondering if what's going on with the Pistons now in terms of their persona, that they were kind of going to dominate you physically. And they had all these pressure defenders, and they're going to force turnovers. They're going to run. They get in transition. They get on the offensive glass. They control their own glass. This is how they're going to beat you. They're going to physically maul you. And I didn't see that last night, and I haven't been seeing it lately. And it does kind of question, because if they're not doing that, Adam, they've got a problem offensively with forcing guys to shoot the ball that don't want to shoot the ball. That's something that's a playbook against them, but some ways it's not enough when they're playing so well defensively. That hasn't been the case lately. So now there is like this vulnerability about them that the East feels a lot more wide open than it did to me at the top.
Yeah. Here's some more things about this, though, with Detroit. I don't know that they have a second guard. And like, who is their second guard for them right now? Karis LeVert, 51% true shooting on the year, 43% over the last 20 games. Dennis Jenkins, 45% true shooting last 20. He got benched in this game, basically. Marcus Sasser, very inconsistent. Kevin Huerter. I don't know that they have, of all the guys who are, like, you went through the NBA and just said second guards on all of the contenders. I think they have by far the lowest ranking member there. And I think that really shows as this season goes on, teams realize, okay, what is their secondary option? They really are Cade and nobody else. And I think that is going to be a damning thing for them in the playoffs, because I don't trust any of those guys to be phenomenal enough in a playoff series.
Yeah, I mean, look, and the other thing is, and I've seen this a number of times lately with Duncan Robinson, because Duncan Robinson is critical to them. He's critical. When you look at the other guys that struggle to shoot, that they have to play, just because of bodies and because their style is to be determined defensively, but you need some shooting. So they get Duncan Robinson, they bring him in, and he's had a very good year for them. But there's also nights, like this game, Toronto just made up their mind. We're not leaving them no matter what. Yeah. We're going to face guard him, topside him, no help responsibility, whoever's guarding him. In 24 minutes, he took 2 shots, 0 for 2 from the field. He had a game recently against the Heat, 1 for 7. You basically take him out of the game. 0 for 4 against the Magic. These are all this month. He was so important, and he still is. But teams are willing now to look at them and say, I'm selling out to Duncan Robinson at all costs. Because here's the thing. They brought in Kevin Huerter, who wasn't having a good year shooting the ball, but he's been better typically than he's been this year in Chicago. Brought him in. At first, he was getting no run. They're starting to play him a little bit more, but it's not happening for him either offensively. So when you make a determination that we're just not going to let Duncan Robinson, no matter what, he's not going to get free, loosen us up, make our defense start to scramble. Where is he? And now all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham and Duren are killing you with 2-man game because you're guarding Duncan Robinson. They're just starting off the game that way. We're not going to let them get involved. And it's last night they actually made 10 threes, which for them it's like, that's not a terrible number. And they shot 38%. That's like an okay night for them. But I do worry about that component, man. If you just take him out, where is the three-point shooting going to come from when you play teams like Cleveland and you play teams like Boston and you play teams like the Knicks. These teams shoot 40 at their low point. Sometimes nights they get up to 53s. Are you going to have enough firepower to be able to deal with that? Like, you lose a 3-point battle 18-8. That's hard to overcome. Yeah. And so I'm looking at them a little bit differently than I did at the start of the year. All right, there's still a factor, obviously a big factor. Question is, like, are they a team now, clear cut? You go, okay, yeah, I can see them playing in the finals. I think they've got to finish strong here, man. They've got to finish strong and reassert their control over games, which is physically getting into you in such a way that it doesn't matter if they're making threes or not, because you're not able to score on them enough to make it a problem for them.
Well, Asar Thompson will help with that. He returned from injury in this game, and Legs, there's rumblings to the people I talked to in Detroit, not necessarily with the team, just media members, that he's maybe not 100% healthy, but he's up against the 65-game rule. I think he's a first-team All-Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's a Most Improved Player candidate, and he's played 58 games, but the rule is that you have to play at least 20 minutes in 63 of those games, and then you have 2 more games where you play under 20 minutes that'll count towards your total. I think he is at somewhere around 51, if you count that, 51 games where he's played 21 minutes, 14 games to go. He's got to play, and I'm a little worried about that aspect. We're seeing this with a lot of players where these accolades that can make a difference on your upcoming contracts and different things. Do you rush back a little bit from injury? I mean, you can just give me a quick comment on this, but that's one thing I'm worried about with Asar Thompson. If you can't miss another game, but your body needs a couple days rest, players are just in a tight spot there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I would put the game thing to the side for him. First, I don't think he's a candidate for Most Improved Player, in my opinion. I don't think he's maybe, if you want to say, he's a little bit more impactful defensively. But I mean, but so much of what he does looks exactly like it did last year to me.
Numbers are almost identical.
I don't see significant difference. His minutes, his points, his rebounds. He's shooting it a little bit better from the 3, but he never takes them. Takes them. So, like a guy like Holland struggles too, but to me, he's still working on his game because he'll take some because he's trying to improve that. It's gotten to the point I've seen Asar Thompson this year in games where he literally doesn't look at the rim from out there. So I don't know that I would put him in that category, and I wouldn't worry too much about that. If I were the Pistons, I wouldn't worry about that stuff with them, man, particularly when you got something much bigger in front of you as a team that you're trying to accomplish.
Young players, I think, just think that way, especially if you can get in the conversation for some of these accolades. Let's go to Toronto, though, because I actually have a couple takes for you. There's 2 players I want to talk about in particular. The first one's Jakob Poeltl. We both love Ivica Zubac. I think Poeltl has a lot of Zubac to his game. He can do a bunch of different things. He can finish offensively with a pass. He can finish his little touch shots. He defends, does everything right. Runs the floor surprisingly well for a big man. Do you see a comp there? He's just such a valuable big because he doesn't really have weaknesses to his game. He's not a superstar at any one strength, but he can do a lot of things, and he's so reliable.
I think it's a great comp, and I think he's probably one of the more underrated bigs in the entire league. And he just, he's in the right spot at the right time all the time. He goes after every rebound. So, there's so much want to in him that I love. You never run anything for him. You don't have to run anything for him, and he's still just out there finding open pockets. He's a better offensive player than you give him credit for because it's kind of awkward and goofy. He's got a little bit of this one-handed push shot that he shoots all over the court, but he's got great touch with it. But you can't deny the numbers a lot of nights that this guy puts up. He's like that, to me, a massive X factor for their team overall. Like on the nights that he plays well, like they're a pretty good team when he finds a way to have more opportunities to score. So I think that's a pretty fair comparison. I think it's like, I would just say Zubac is just like, one notch up from that, but it's a similar comparison in terms of the effect on the game and how they play. I don't think that's bad to put his name in the same sense.
He's good, and they play him sometimes alongside Mamu, so he's playing in an ultra-big lineup. They play him sometimes spread out with shooting and ball handling around him. He can do everything. It's so valuable to have a big that is not pigeonholed into, well, if he's on the court, we have to play this way. If Jakob Poeltl's on the court, you can play any style, and he can adjust his game to it. He's really impressive there. The other guy I was going to mention is Scotty Barnes, who they use – I love him as the screener and roller when they can get into those actions, and they bring him. It's not like they just bring him from the dunker spot or the block up and set pick and rolls like he's a 5. They'll bring him from spots all over the court, including in the corner, because they can get a ball handler driving to the base or to the sideline. he gets into the pocket, and when he gets that ball in the pocket, like 4-on-3, even for a split second, he is so good. He's a phenomenal quick passer. Like, he makes the quick read to the next guy. He's competent enough to score and do everything. I just think Barnes is he's so dynamic, but in a way that's not necessarily highlight reel, but he's still so dynamic.
I agree with all of those things. He's really, you notice him a lot when you watch the Raptors play, even though he's not putting up big scoring numbers a lot of nights. You just notice him. He had a couple defensive plays at the rim he made in this game where he was out of position and looks like he's about to give up an easy layup, and out of nowhere he just extends and pins a ball as a guy's trying to get it back up to the rim. So he's always going to have that defensive impact. I agree with you. I think that might be his best use as an offensive player. I don't know that Scotty Barnes is ever going to be much more offensively than he is now. I just don't know, like the way he shoots it, like how it looks, the spots on the floor that he really likes to play. I don't know that he's ever going to be a guy that all of a sudden dials it up, 2-3 years from now, and you're looking at Scotty Barnes and he's like averaging 23, 24 points a game. He's been at 19, 19, 18 this year. Maybe gets it up to 21, 22. Like that's good. That's a good scorer in the NBA. But I think people were hoping he was going to break through and be this dude that's getting you 25, 26 every night to go with 10 boards, 8 assists. And now you're talking about a guy that's first team all league and maybe even get some MVP votes if you're winning enough games. I don't know that he's going to get there offensively, but there are areas on the court in which he's really good because of his passing ability, his hands. And that's probably an area of the floor that you're talking about. I think that is a good use for him.
They're giving him ISOs less, which I think that's what you're talking about. He's not a guy you feel comfortable about. Just clear out, let him see what he can create. But when you get him involved in 2- and 3-man actions, I feel like he's elite. So it's a weird thing. We think of elite individual offense, but really he's a good collaborative offensive player. And when they lean into it, it looks really nice. Toronto, to me, is the team that, at their best, they're one of the most fun teams to watch in the NBA. I love their style. They're not that every night, so sometimes you tune into them and they're just kind of a miserable watch. But when they're good, as I thought they were in this game, you're just watching Brandon Ingram hit tough shots, and you're watching R.J. Barrett get downhill and into the paint. They just have so many different guys that, at their best, they're super fun.
I like some of their younger guards too, Jacoby Walter and Shed.
Oh, Shed's
like Shed is Shed is that guy that you have that teams need. He's such an irritant. And he talks to great players. Like he thinks he can guard anybody on the floor, and he's up for the challenge. And like he's like borderline you feel like he's about to get into a fight. Like a lot of nights, like guys are getting that irritated with him. But I like that. I like the toughness, man, that they bring. And Jacoby Walter, I like his energy that he plays with. So they got a nice team, man. It's most likely going to end up in a first round playoff loss. Like that, I would think that's probably where their season is headed. But they overall, like you certainly view them in a much more favorable light than you did last year. So, you're moving it forward. That's all you can ask for.
We're going to end today's show with a little nostalgia. Why not a little nostalgia? And we're going to talk about NCAA teams. It is the week of March Madness first round, which is one of my favorite weeks of the year. We're going to talk about some of our favorite teams. But first, before we get into it, Legs, how excited or unexcited are you for March Madness this year?
I like the tournament. And the main reason, I'll be perfectly honest, though, is just the drama that comes with one and done.
Yeah,
it takes me back. It takes me back to the adrenaline rush that I would have when I was coaching my AAU on the AAU circuit for Under Armour. And like you would go through these tournaments and then you get to the playoffs at the end, and that one and done feeling, man, there's nothing like it. Like the butterflies in the pit in your stomach, like at any point it's going to end. Like there's so much at stake. Every game, every possession, you're going to obviously get close games. You're going to get upsets immediately. We always do in the tournament. That's, to me, the most compelling part. College basketball, for me, has been tough, become a tough watch. I do a lot of my prep, like as I head into the draft, to look at who these guys are that are going to the league. But in terms of watching college basketball during the season, because I loved it when I saw guys come in, you were following whatever program you followed. Here's the recruits. Let's see where these guys are as a group collectively as they come together over the next 2, 3, 4 years. I loved that, to watch what a group of guys could become as they became seniors, and like what could they accomplish playing for the conference tournament or like whatever it was. And that just doesn't exist in college basketball anymore. It doesn't exist. It's a turnstile between the NIL, transfer portal, fifth year guys. Like,
you're not wrong. Yeah.
Right, all of it. So it's it's harder for me without a college program that I'm super invested in, that I just live and die with. Like, it's harder because of the turnover of players year after year after year. These guys are constantly reinventing every year what their roster looks like. It just became harder for me to stay a fan of. That's why some of the teams you're talking about, like, who did I love? My favorite college teams?
They go way back.
I'm going to go way back to my high school, college years, man.
But I think, so here's the thing, because mine are the same era. I'm 42, so almost all of mine are between 2000 and 2010. And I do wonder if that's part of it. If it just happens to be the teams you like at that age, you're basically college age person at that time. And so those are the teams. So let me give my list first, and we'll just talk about some of these teams real quickly, and then we'll get your list and we'll see how they match up. And these are not my favorite in order. They're really just teams I enjoyed in the moment. It's not like I don't have a college that I root for or hate, really. 2001 Duke to me was so iconic. People don't realize how good Jay Williams was as a college basketball player. And he gets hurt in the pros, has a tragic injury. We kind of robbed us of what I think would have been a really fun guard in that era. He was so fun in college. And the team with Shane Battier, Carlos Boozer, Mike Dunleavy, and Chris Duhon, to me, it's just like, it was loaded with guys that were classic Duke guys. To me, that team was iconic, and I enjoyed them when they happened.
That's cool, Dan. That's good. That's a lot of talent on those teams. But I'm going to be full disclosure with you. Like I said, I have to have some emotional investment in the program for whatever reason.
Jay Williams didn't move the needle for you? He was so fun.
No, not in that way. Like, yeah,
really?
Fun to watch.
Yeah,
entertaining. But I'm talking about the difference between, like, watching the game, and watching every second of it for 2 hours and being, oh, wow, man, it's a really good team. I love the way they play. And the game ends and they lost by 2, and I just go on and I go about my business. Yeah. Like, that's what I'm talking about. As opposed to the teams that I truly loved. No, man, like, I was devastated if they lost. I was living up.
You had emotional connection to
I was in ACC country growing up. Okay. Before I went up to Philadelphia to the Northeast for college, the team I followed, my number one team was the University of Maryland. Like, that was my team. And I lived and died with watching Maryland basketball as a kid. And I wasn't even a big basketball player until like 14 years old, but I still followed their program before I even started playing basketball. And so my first teams were like the Albert King Maryland teams, like 79, 80. By the way, back then, think about this. The ACC was like a brand with 8 teams. It was the same 8 teams forever. And so, like, those 14 games that they played, every team twice, those were everything. Now, I don't even know how many teams are in the ACC.
I don't even know.
20?
Yeah,
20?
There's a couple that are on the West Coast somehow.
There's West Coast teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference. This is what we're talking about. So it's like, and it's just, to me, it's just love. But those teams, oh my God, Albert King of the 79-80 Maryland team. And then, of course, when Len Bias came in, and at that point, I was in college playing college basketball, but I still was like a Maryland fan. When Len Bias got there, and then they finally broke through for Lefty Driesell and won the ACC tournament, Len Bias's freshman year. First time in I don't know how many years it had been since Maryland won the ACC tournament. Like that, those were the teams that I loved, man, and like so invested my time in, and like upset if they lost, thrilled if they won. I haven't had that feeling really since about college basketball.
Yeah. Emma tells us there's 18 teams in the ACC now.
18, there you go.
18, so there you go. Everybody's in it. How about 2007 Florida? You remember this back-to-back title champions? Al Horford, Joakim Noah,
Billy
Corey
Donovan
Brewer,
teams, yeah.
Billy Donovan, Mo Spates is on this team.
A lot of pros.
Man, talk about, and not just pros. Noah, Al Horford, that's like high IQ, great team guys, two-way players, just dominant, both huge. And then Corey Brewer on top of it. That was a really, really good team. Winning it 2 times is just like one of the best teams of all time.
Well, and so UConn was the first team to do it since Florida, right?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. When you're right, man. And it's going to be harder and harder and harder and harder going forward.
One and done era.
Because of what we talked about. Just your whole roster changes over. You know, even kids that you bring in and you pay them in the NIL, they come in and they play well for you. If they play too well, they're gone. If they don't play well enough, they're gone. So it's like it's tough, man. I'm looking for. I'll tell you the one team I'm enjoying watching right now is St. John's.
Okay. Yeah.
Rick Pitino, man, we already knew, he was a great coach, and he has got a lot of other stuff that, controversial stuff he was involved in too. But like what he has done here, and to take this program, like this revered program in New York City that had their glory days, and they've had one guy after another come in there and try to figure out how to do it, haven't been able to do it. What Rick Pitino has done in such a short period of time to turn that team into what they look like, and what they did to UConn in the Big East tournament final, man. And that just had to just put absolute steam coming out of Danny Hurley's ears. Like when your team gets beat like that on a stage that big, I can't wait to see what UConn and St. John's do in the NCAA tournament now going forward.
I'll give you a couple more of mine just because I like going down memory lane. 2005 Illinois, Jalen Williams, Luther Head, D. Brown. Those teams were fun to watch. I really liked them. 1999 UConn, Rip Hamilton and Khalid El-Amin. I know that he never became like a dynamic pro or anything, but he was so fun to watch as well. Butler teams with Brad Stevens and Gordon Hayward, I remember really liking them. And then Wichita State, the Fred VanVleet, Ron Baker team that was Wichita State. I just loved the way they played. They played a great brand of basketball and got some tough draws in the tournament. But those are some of my favorite teams of the last 25 years.
Those are all good ones, man. Those are really good ones. I like those teams as well. Again, you did feel like that even then. You're not going back that far. That was more of an era where guys at least stayed a little bit.
Yeah, you're talking about some seniors there.
And you got a chance. I mean, look, in general, when you get to this time of the year, typically, like I'll watch a good amount of the tournament. It's just so compelling.
Yeah.
When you see those lower seeds get these top teams on the ropes, man, and you watch the last 5 minutes and how tight like guys can get, and these underdog programs can make you. It's like you root for those moments, man. Like you root for those moments. Like I wasn't fortunate enough we didn't win an NCAA tournament game. We did play in it. We won our tournament. We won our conference. My senior year went undefeated in the conference, and then we won the conference tournament, and we ended up with Kansas State in the first round. And they were a 4 seed. We were 13 because we played in a weak conference. And that team had Mitch Richmond on it. So we played Mitch Richmond's Kansas State team at South Bend at University of Notre Dame in their first round. And it was a good game, close game, but we weren't able to beat them. So I didn't get an NCAA tournament win, man, but I was thrilled to be a part of it. I dreamt about it, for years. And then here you are playing in the conference tournament championship, knowing even because our conference was so weak, if we lose, we might not go. Even though we had 3 NBA players on our team, we might not go at LaSalle if we lose that game to Fordham. And so we had to finish the deal. It wasn't enough that we were 16-0. You got to finish it. Yeah. And we did. I remember like Selection Sunday, man, and just hearing your name called and like what goes through your head. And then, so ever since, I kind of root for those 13 seeds and 12 seeds and 14 seeds. Like, what they're going up against and how cool that is for them. And a lot of times those teams are going to have juniors and seniors on it, and they're playing teams that they might have some of that, but they've been there for 1 year.
Well, I'm curious what people think. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite team. And I'm not saying because you follow Duke, so I like the Duke teams. I'm just saying teams that you watched the tournament and fell in love with them during that time. And then let me know what age you were when those years happened, because I have a feeling everybody is going to be about 23, 24 years old when their favorite team made a run in the playoffs. I just think that's the way it worked. Emma, we have one super chat, I believe, before we get out of here. I'm looking at it here from Johnny Keene. He says, hey, Adam, who does Legs think in the West, which team would be affected the most by an injury to their star player out of Jokic, SGA, Luka, KD, or Wemby? I mean, look, all of those guys go down. All those teams are cooked. So this is a tough one, but how would you answer that?
Damn, I would actually say I would probably say clearly I'd go Denver.
Yeah, Jokic is the hub of everything there.
There's just no chance. I would probably put Wemby 2.
They did so well without Wemby, but he might be right. It's not where
SGA or Wemby.
Right. I was going to say SGA for me.
SGA or Wemby, coin toss. Yeah. But like I really would wonder. Like I know he's not SGA, but like give AJ Mitchell 35 minutes with the ball in his hands. I'm telling you, that guy's putting up. I'm telling you right now, that guy's going to average. If you played him starters minutes, I don't even care.
He's so confident.
Put him in a playoff series tomorrow for the first time. You give that guy 32 to 35 minutes, the guy's putting up 20 plus points at minimum efficiently, and he's probably also going to give you 6, 8, 10 assists. He's that good. Like eventually this guy is headed for, I think he's going to be an all-star in this league somewhere, whether it's OKC or somewhere else. So I don't know, man, that's tough. All of those guys, man, it's almost impossible to even imagine.
You're not winning without your star
making
players.
A run without those 5 guys.
Yeah, you're not making a run without your star players. That's how it is. Hit that outro music for us, Emma. We appreciate everybody that hung out with us today on the live show. Like I said, let me know in the comments. I'm just very curious about this NCAA thing. So let me know in the comments who your favorite team is or somebody that made a run that you really fell in love with. That does it for today's show, but we are back on Wednesday, me and Legs. We're going to be back on Friday with Jason Timp. So we got a week full of shows breaking down the games, and there's some good ones on Tuesday. Check the schedule. You'll see what we got. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button for us on the way out.
We all silly like the mayor.